Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Ted Dixon, CEO and co-founder of InkResearch.ca. He invented the Inc. Canadian Insider Index, which is used by the Horizons Canadian Insider Index ETF, a 2017 and 2018 fund data, Fund Grade A Plus award winner. His website, CanadianInsider.com. Welcome back to the show, Ted.
Jim, thanks for having me back, and thank you for everyone tuning in.
Ted, are we into this big discussion again, gold versus Bitcoin? Some describing gold as just a yellow rock that costs a lot of money to store. Others saying Bitcoin could disappear in one power failure.
Well, power failures are never good for a host of things we do, and certainly if you wanted to trade your Bitcoin during a power failure, you'd have to be creative, and maybe you could do it on your phone if your phone was still working. But of course, it would depend on the situation. But what's happened here today is we had a big move up in Bitcoin, and it actually, by my reckoning, has kind of been leading gold here. And again, we've talked about this in the past. I don't think this is a case of gold versus Bitcoin, but it's just, what's happening here between with these two different investments, and because they're both considered sort of alternatives to the current sort of fiat money system, and they could both provide a insurance hedge against that. But what we had today, we had confirmation from PayPal that they were going to incorporate Bitcoin and some other cryptocurrencies into their payments capabilities. So this is a big deal. It was rumored that this was coming, but now that they've actually confirmed it officially, it's a big deal for Bitcoin, and we did see Bitcoin jump over 12,000 at one point, and I believe it's closed today. I'm just pulling it up here at about 12,700. So it's had a nice run. And it kind of led gold here on that run. And interestingly enough, I looked at a chart just a few hours ago before the close, and looking at the performance of Bitcoin and gold, year to date, and they're both up. But after this latest run, Bitcoin is up significantly higher than gold, and today's announcement really helped it. Now, gold is up 26%, approximately, but Bitcoin is up approximately 80%. So, it's had a much bigger move. Now, it's been more volatile than gold too. So, returns are only one aspect of an investment. There's also volatility, and Bitcoin is very volatile, as we've discussed in the past before. But I think what is coming clear here now, Jim, is that as we move through to a new economic order, new financial system down the road, whatever that is, our third core theme is preparing for a monetary reset. When I was on with you the last time, I said we don't know the timing of that. But, it's starting to get a little clearer because we've had central banks talk about digital currencies. And this is quite a development. I believe the IMF just had a conference this week on digital currencies, and the Fed spoke at it. And we're beginning to see a pecking order in terms of what central banks are going to start adopting central currencies first. And the leader has been China. So China has been forcing the hand, to some extent, of the Western democracies. If China's going to this direction, the Western bloc has to look. They can't just ignore what China's doing. And there are other factors going on as well, but let's just say that's a key one. And the way it's looking is that the U.S. is going to be the last, and I don't think to adopt, and I don't think it's because they're slow, they're concerned. Just they are the reserve currency, so they have to get it right, and I think they're quite happy to see other countries kind of take the lead, learn from that, keep doing the research, and let's not kid ourselves, they're doing a lot of research on this. So it's heading there, and this is going to be the major game changer. I'm not sure, obviously we're talking about the future, I'm not sure if sort of these bank digital currencies is going to be the bridge to a new financial system, whether, in my lifetime that is going to be the major innovation that kind of saves the current financial system from a total remake. That story is being written, and it's being written as we speak. So it's very exciting. These are very exciting times in the digital currency space. So where does that leave gold? Well, it leaves gold in its traditional role as being an insurance hedge, but it's not going to be able to participate in this evolution. Now, never say never. We could see a digital form of gold grab significant market share. I have not seen that lately. I think there's too many vested interests in the gold industry that they see cryptocurrencies as a threat. I think that's been a mistake. It is not, it is just a complement. It is another asset that can help people diversify. But now cryptocurrencies are coming into the mainstream of payments. This is something we talked about last year. It's kind of a bellwether we look at for innovation. It's a company, for those who aren't familiar, that invests in cryptocurrency companies and applications. So it's a great one to track. I'm not recommending the stock right now. In fact, we have an Ink-Edge mixed outlook on it. So if you're not sure what that means, we have a video on our Canadian Insider Index, our Canadian Insider site that provides an overview of our outlook rankings. But yeah, but it's a great little growing stock to watch. It's a kind of a mid-cap stock to watch just because it has its finger in so many different pies in the cryptocurrency world. And, if you go through the MDA that they have, you can learn about their investments. And it gives you a good snapshot about some of the innovation that's going on, but definitely not all. So what I'm really excited about, though, is this move by not only PayPal, because it's a little step really in the grand scheme of things, but we also have its competitor Square, which has been kind of talking about this and has, I believe, an application for cryptocurrency payments already. I haven't used it, so I can't speak to it. But as a merchant, Canadian Insider, we're merchants. We sell memberships. We don't yet take memberships in cryptocurrencies. We'd certainly like to look at it once it becomes economically feasible. But, it's going to be a game changer as these payment systems adopt cryptocurrency. Let's get back to what it means for the investor. It means if you're not investing in cryptocurrencies, you're missing out a big growth opportunity with high risk. Okay, so if you're a low risk investor, if bonds are your thing, if you're over 65 and you're thinking about retiring and drawing down your assets, cryptocurrencies are probably something you have to look at in terms of all that. It may not be for you. If you're a young person, you're just starting to invest, it's going to be in the financial sector. It's going to be it's a big growth opportunity. We see it. It's probably I agree with Raoul Paul, who appears on Ink Ultra Money every now and then to talk about cryptocurrency, and he's a big believer that the risk reward in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is very high. I would agree with that. But there is risk. There is a lot of risk. There is a lot of volatility, and that is probably one of the biggest concerns with investing in Bitcoin. There are others, okay? And for example, there is an exchange-traded fund. Let's say okay, Ted, I want to get some Bitcoin. How do I do that? Well, I'm certainly not going to recommend how you do that, but there are basically 2 or 3 different ways you can do it. One is you can buy in Canada an exchange-traded fund. I believe is the symbol QBTC, Q Bitcoin, but it's priced in US dollars. But this morning, its premium to net asset value was 20%, so that's a huge premium to pay for someone who wants exposure to Bitcoin is, and so I'm not going to recommend not doing it. I'm not going to recommend doing it, but that's a pretty expensive fee to pay for exposure to Bitcoin. The other way to do it, and it's a lot harder, and that's why there probably is a 20% premium for the QBTC, is to buy it yourself directly. And it means, so that means getting your own on-ramp, getting an account with an exchange, and also taking on the risk of custody and how you're going to store your Bitcoin. You can either do that on a hardware wallet, your own wallet, or you can, find a wallet that you're comfortable with, or you can, with a third party that you trust. But there are risks with storing Bitcoin. So there's lots of risks with Bitcoin. There's less risk with gold, I would say. You can stick it in your safety deposit box. Yeah, so you know where it is. Yeah, the bank could go bust. You have a hard time getting it. What are the chances of that? You can keep it in your house. You can get robbed. What are the chances of that? So there are some risks with gold too, but I think the risks on the Bitcoin side are significantly higher. But you're just not going to get the potential reward with gold than you are with cryptocurrencies, given the direction that the financial system is evolving as we see it, unfolding right now, and it's happening as we speak. We've talked about Bitcoin on this show many times, and I think I've been talking about it this year. It's already up significantly. Could it go back down to 6,000? Yeah, but if you're waiting to buy it at 6,000, a lot of bad stuff will have happened in the world. Between 12,000 and 6,000 on Bitcoin, and it's not the only thing that is likely going to go down. So, we're in motion. It's in motion. PayPal has given it a shot in the arm today, but the train has left the station, and it's for those who especially for those who have high risk tolerances, those who play in the junior mining space. If you're interested in risk reward opportunities that have high risk, certainly the cryptocurrency space is definitely one you do not want to ignore.
We'll have more with Ted Dixon right after the break.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Value from success. Growth in discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Ted Dixon. Ted, could this push for cryptocurrencies also be backed by big governments like China? Because they want to know exactly what every citizen is up to, and this tells them what they're buying, what they're selling, and also gives them a chance to tax every transaction, something you can't do with cash exchanging hands between individuals.
Well, I think the government already, if they want to, can already track a lot about you. But certainly digital currencies will give an enormous amount of power to potentially. Let me back up a bit. Potentially give a tremendous amount of power to actors, whether they're the authorities or the administrators of a system. Now, here is the big qualifier, depending how that system is designed. So, the Bank of Canada has actually been studying this, and I believe Western democracies, they understand this. They're going to say, well, people aren't going to use it if they just see it as a way for the government to track everything. But, of course, there'll be the temptation for governments to say, well, but this may be not a bad idea. We can track all the bad guys. And in fact, for Bitcoin, there's this myth that, you can use Bitcoin to break the law and, no one's going to find out. The joke's on you. If the government really wants to, they can track down every transaction in Bitcoin. It just takes a lot of work, okay? So the Bank of Canada has been looking at the privacy aspects, and they are very concerned. And they do not believe that there is a privacy solution yet. And to cut a long story short, I think the ideal model is that all the transactions would be private, but there would be an associated owner to every transaction. So if the authorities needed to find out about who owned that or who was involved with that, they could find out whether so what would be would it require a court order, just like it requires a court order now to basically if the authorities want to look at your internet activity, I believe, for the most part. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a privacy lawyer, but there are certain safeguards, right, that the system is built in. Right, they're going to have to build the same in on digital currency, and but investors can stick their head in the sand and go, "Oh, this is a bad thing. I don't like this at all." It doesn't really matter because it's coming, and just like the U.S. election, you may like Trump, you may like Biden. It doesn't matter. One of them is going to be the president, and so half the people will be upset, half the people will be happy. But as investors, we have to deal with what's unfolding in front of us. So the digital currencies are unfolding. But it's going to be, it's not going to happen overnight because of the very question you just asked. And I think, central, Western democracies, their central banks are more concerned about that than China, the People's Bank of China. I could be wrong. Maybe you can get somebody from the PBOC on your show to talk about it. But, there's probably more concerns in the West than in China about that question, and that's why it's taking one of the reasons why it's taking a longer time. They got to get this balance right between privacy and also your client and to avoid money laundering and using crypto and digital currencies for nefarious activities. Yeah.
Yeah, and do governments intrude? I remember a story, an Associated Press reporter in Tokyo, before America was involved in the Second World War, sent a letter to his editor saying, you may or may not get this letter because the Japanese censor the mail. And a week later, he got a letter from the Japanese government saying, we do not censor the mail.
Exactly. So, it goes on now. It's just, digital currencies, if it's done right, will make it more efficient. And that's why you need to have the safeguards in place. So, as citizens, we want to ensure the government has the appropriate safeguards. But, but on the positive side, this is going to, and this is why I think it's coming. And it's something that every investor, who's going to survive over the next 5 years has to get a handle on. And that is when these central banks adopt digital currencies, it is going to allow them to target their monetary policy to groups. So right now, you keep hearing, it's a blunt instrument. We had the lower interest rates, and now we have this massive housing bubble. But you know what? Under digital currencies, they'll be able to say, you know what? Here's the interest rate for small business who are in these sectors. If you're actually doing something, if you're actually building, making cars, if you're cutting people's hair, here's the interest rate for you. If you're a real estate mortgage lender, you have a different interest rate. This is going to be your interest rate, right? That it allows a whole new paradigm of central banking. That's why, Jim, even a year ago, I thought the current system was eventually going to collapse under its own weight. You know what? I think central banks in North America, in Western democracies, have figured out that digital currencies are the way to at least prolong the current system, and to give it sort of fiat banking, fiat central banking 2.0. It'll be I think they'll see it as their way to kind of reset things. So we will see, but it's a 2020 the pandemic has really overshadowed a lot of things. And I think what's going on in the digital currency space is something investors really have to keep their eye on.
We'll have more with Ted Dixon right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Ted Dixon. Ted, some of the drawbacks to using Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency. Some transactions can take 45 minutes to take place. There's a sizable premium for using Bitcoin in some cases, so it costs you a lot of money to use it, so why not just use your debit card or cash for that? Are those drawbacks that they have to overcome?
Those are certainly some drawbacks they have to overcome, and there's a huge competition within the cryptocurrency community to deal with those. And I think PayPal has figured out how to deal with those issues, and we're seeing advancement on that front every day. Now, that has been a big drawback in the whole, decentralized finance world, where in the summer we saw an explosion of new financial websites. Well, I shouldn't say websites, but services, blockchain services, where you could borrow and lend money. But it was, using Ethereum. It got really slow. It was more. It was cheaper. It was cheaper to do bank transactions. Canadian bank fees were lower than Ethereum fees. So what's that all about, right? So no, there's clearly some work to do, but people are working on it 24/7. I mean, the amount of enthusiasm in the cryptocurrency community to come up with new solutions is startling. And we're going to be seeing these solutions and the competition amongst these different coins and different platforms to come up with a better solution. So it has been a problem, but there's certainly that's not going to be a problem 2 years from now. I suspect those problems will likely be memories. I could be wrong, but I just know that there are other platforms aside from Ethereum that are ready to sort of take its spot if the Ethereum group can't, and I call it a group, I mean community. I should call it community because there's no corporate group. If they don't solve that problem, and I know they're working on Ethereum, a new version of Ethereum that's going to take a while to roll out. But there are there's a very healthy competitiveness. So any investor who is in favor of pro market and competition, I mean, the crypto world is your space because that's going on in spades. And I should say, by the way, that if you join the Canadian Insider Club, we do have a cryptocurrency innovation channel in our Inc. chat that we post ideas on, updates all the time. It's a possible starting point for someone who's not really, hasn't really dived in yet. I'm happy to talk to people on the Inc. chat about that. Because the opportunity there is quite good. I think in the next couple of days we'll probably be writing about a stock that we've written about in the past. That's a Canadian listed stock. That's not Galaxy Digital. It's another one that could be primed to take advantage of the current current trends, and we'll be writing about that. So, if you're not a subscriber or if you don't have access to Inc. reports, keep your eye, I'd encourage you to think about subscribing, or, getting a hold of our reports with some of our partners who carry it. So, it's an exciting time. 2020 has been, seen as a pretty challenging year, and it has. But it's also offering opportunities. And, we had a nice run in the gold and silver markets, sort of in the summer, leading up to the summer. And, the year's not over yet. There's still opportunities. I think, I think gold and silver and the junior miners will be doing, will do okay in this environment. But, they have their risks, they have political risk coming up, big political risk coming up, as do all risky assets. So we will see, but there's lots of opportunity unfolding here as we head towards 2021.
Is there a war on cash? In Europe, you can't take out more than 750 euros at a time now from a bank.
I'm not familiar with the rules in Europe. I think, it's again, Jim, the authorities are going to come after you one way or the other, so you can say, no, Bitcoin or crypto, they're going to track you. Well, if they're really concerned about cash, they can do these sorts of things too. So, as an investor, I just want to see where the opportunities are, and certainly with interest rates down at zero, cash is not something that I see as a big opportunity. And while it's always good to have some dry powder to take advantage of pullbacks, you can make a decision. Do you keep your dry powder in Bitcoin or do you keep your dry powder in cash? For me, it's a slam dunk, but everyone has their own risk tolerances and views on that.
Ted, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Well, thanks for having me back.
My guest has been Ted Dixon, CEO and co-founder of inkresearch.ca. If you have any questions for Ted, you can send them to info@housestreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HouseStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HouseStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HouseStreet.com radio is a production of House Street Media Incorporated.